Hello, my name is Delilah Papor, and I'm the Executive Director at the Heart of Biddeford. This is a recorded version of a presentation I put together for the City Council in May of 2015, following an online parking survey that Heart of Biddeford conducted in late winter. It asks what are downtown Biddeford's parking needs, and it's a plea to private developers, city leaders, and the public to become involved in creating parking solutions. The city conducted a parking study in 2012, as well as a few others before that, and in it, it showed that in the downtown, they believed there was sufficient parking at the time, and projected that there would be enough parking still in 2016. Regarding the Mill District, it showed significant projected deficit of spaces by 2016. And the study also treated the mill and downtown as if they were separate and don't impact each other. And as we're really seeing now already by 2015, there are a lot of properties in the downtown, in the mills, that affect one another. They did a user survey in 2011 and found that 77% of employers and 74% of employees said there was not enough customer parking in the downtown. The city's study also showed that almost half of customers said it was easy to find on-street parking spaces. Importantly, in the city's parking study, they created a series of parking system recommendations, and that means that the answer to parking isn't just create more parking spaces. You have to also look at things like lighting or bike racks, parking signage, parking maps, and I'm happy to report that there have been a lot of implementation steps since that time, including 11 bike racks put through the downtown, much better wayfinding signage, as well as maps in the downtown. The city's app called Access Biddeford has an excellent interactive map on it, and Heart of Biddeford is releasing a downtown map of all the businesses and parking this week. More about the parking system recommendations. They said it would be essential to introduce on-street and off-street paid parking, and that also to use smart meters, which allow for things like the first hour being free or different amounts at different times. The purpose of paid parking is to, one, put a premium on the on-street parking, the spaces in front of businesses. Two, to encourage the use of off-street parking when that exists in sufficient supply. And three, to create a pool of funds for downtown improvements. Also, the study did recommend that the city own and manage more than 50% of the downtown parking, and at the time the study was done, the city owned 45% of it. In the mill study, they also had consultants draw some schematics of potential parking structures. Here was one on York Street. I was on Main Street and walked to the entrance there of where it would be, and that was 40 steps. And then here's one, if you follow the line of Washington Avenue, you'll see that there was a proposed parking structure drawn, and that was 120 steps from Main Street, both fairly close to the Main Street. In 2015, this spring, we are hearing a lot of concerns from, for example, business owners saying they didn't have spots for their employees to park, or people finding that there wasn't great parking in front of or near businesses. So we did our own online survey. It cost Heart of Biddeford $26. So we're not saying that this was done by a professional. However, we did achieve 330 responses, and the city study a couple years ago had 159 responses, so we feel like it was a pretty good response rate. In our study in 2015, we found 83% of employers and 76% of employees said there was not enough customer parking in the downtown. This means an increase of concern from 77 and 74% in 2011. Our study also found that 1/3 of customers said it was easy to find on-street parking, versus a couple years ago, it was 1/2 of customers said it was easy. Just to give you a visual, is parking more difficult, stayed about the same, or become easier? For employers who took the survey, clearly it's become more difficult. For employees, it's more difficult or stayed about the same. For residents, definitely become more difficult. Many felt it stayed about the same. And for visitors, they feel that it stayed about the same or become more difficult. But clearly in all of these visuals, nobody is saying that parking has become easier in the last few years. So we ask, why plan for parking now? Even though parking studies for years have been suggesting that parking solutions be created. I just want to talk about a little bit more about why now. If downtown Biddeford, including the mill area, were to stop all of its growth right now, a case could be made that parking is not a huge problem for the city. The study in 2011 and 12 said that by 2016 things would still be okay. But look at some of the things going on downtown. The Lincoln Mill projected project is already underway. Lots of work going in there for a hotel and restaurants and apartments. The former Bank of America was just about immediately purchased after the Lincoln Mill project was projected, so there'll be activity coming in there. 145 Main Street has a large space on the bottom that could, include a great new business in there. The Marble Block building is under works for becoming a center for art and design. 3 Lincoln, where the Merck property was, has potential for the city and the downtown. So there's a lot of activity going on in that area. The lofts at Saco Falls have just been approved for a $15 million project of housing. And so there's just no evidence that downtown Biddeford, including the Mill District, is stopping all of its growth. And so we need some parking solutions for that. People ask, but why the downtown? Shouldn't we focus on other parts of the city? And obviously there is and should be focus on all parts of the city. There are some special features to the downtown. Smart Growth America did a study of compact mixed-use development areas, which is what a downtown is, versus doing development in conventional suburbs. And what they found is it costs 1/3 less for upfront infrastructure in downtowns. It saves municipalities an average of 10% on ongoing delivery of services, and it generates 10 times more in tax revenue per acre. So they did a little visual here. Per acre, you'll find that there's much less land used, 10 times higher property taxes paid, and far more residents living. So there's some unique opportunities in a downtown. Well, those are really the numbers. What people get most passionate about in the downtown is that it's a place that people can come together, can become involved, can be proud of. You can see that there are new businesses coming in the downtown where there's manufacturing, there's cultural and arts events, there's children-friendly activities, there's places that families can go out and enjoy even a night on the town, as well as, of course, city theater and places that have been here for a long time providing cultural activities. When you invest in the downtown, it's an increase of jobs, taxes paid to the city, and also importantly, a sense of pride about this place, creating opportunity and creating community. A little bit about parking structures and meters, because that was discussed in the city's 2012 parking study. What I found is that in our study, 40 employers took the study, they own businesses or buildings downtown, and they said that parking is a problem. And if private parking structures could make money in Biddeford right now, like they do in Portsmouth and Portland, Boston, private developers would be building them. And so what we think at Heart of Biddeford is that a public-private cooperation is essential. Some people think the quick solution is just knock some more buildings down, create some more surface parking, but that does eliminate the potential tax base of that building that could eventually come to the city. And it also creates less safety. People find that if they're walking down the street and there's a lot of blank spaces, it creates a sense of darkness on the street and less safety. It's kind of like knocking a tooth out. It just doesn't create a continuous flow down the main street. In sum, Heart of Biddeford survey results suggest that conditions have gotten worse since the city's 2012 study. We continue to support the recommendation of the city's 2012 study, and we believe that Biddeford has changed since 2011, and 2 years from now we'll be far different from where we are today. So we can't wait 2 more years to find solutions. We hope that private developers, city leaders, and the public become involved in creating parking solutions.